She was a judge, a woman in a world dominated by men, living in a land under oppression and the threat of iron chariots. Yet, the destiny of an entire nation did not rest on vast armies or mighty weapons, but on her single, steadfast voice beneath a humble palm tree. When darkness gripped the land, and the fearsome roar of iron chariots sent shivers through every heart, hope seemed nearly lost. But God raised Deborah, a mother of Israel, who wielded no sword, yet whose faith moved armies. She stepped into battle unshaken, fully aware that the fight belonged not to her, but to God. This is the remarkable story of courage against all odds, unwavering faith, and the unstoppable power of God working through the most unexpected vessel, a story in which the glory went to a woman. The land of Israel faced trouble again. After the death of Ehud, the judge who had delivered Israel from Moabite oppression, the people began drifting from the ways of the Lord. The same cycle repeated. Prosperity bred complacency, and complacency led to idolatry. They abandoned the God who had delivered them from Egypt and turned to the gods of the Canaanites, Baal, the storm god, and Asherah, the fertility goddess. They believed these false gods would provide rain for crops and fertility for flocks. But these gods demanded loyalty that turned Israel's heart away from the Lord. In his righteousness, God allowed Israel to face oppression as a wake-up call. This time, he gave them into the hands of Jabin, king of Canaan, ruler of Hazor in the northern region. Hazor was a mighty fortress city. Its ruins today still testify to its grand walls and palaces. Jabin's military commander, Sisera, was ruthless, commanding a terrifying advantage: 900 iron chariots. These chariots were like tanks of that era fast, unstoppable on open ground, and deadly in battle. For 20 long years, Israel suffered under Jabin's cruelty, the price of idolatry. Yet, a remnant still prayed. Their voices rose like incense, crying for deliverance. Far south, in the hill country of Ephraim, between Ramah and Bethel, lived an extraordinary woman named Deborah. She was not only a prophetess, speaking God's words, but also a judge of Israel. People came to her for decisions, disputes, and counsel. People came to her for decisions, disputes, and counsel. Deborah held court beneath a palm tree that became known as the Palm of Deborah. Her judgments were fair, her words authoritative, and the people trusted her. Her judgments were fair, her words authoritative, and the people trusted her. Deborah possessed something rare, a woman with both spiritual authority and national influence. In a society dominated by men, Deborah shone like a beacon. Her strength was not in force or weapons, but in her unshakable trust in God and her clarity in hearing His voice. One day, the Lord gave her a plan for Israel's deliverance. She summoned Barak, son of Abinoam from the tribe of Naphtali, living in Kadesh in the far north. She summoned Barak, son of Abinoam from the tribe of Naphtali, living in Kadesh in the far north. I will lure Sisera, commander of Jabin's army, with his chariots and troops, to the Kishon River and deliver him into your hands. Barak understood the danger. Facing Sisera's army with its 900 iron chariots on open ground was nearly suicidal. Yet Deborah's words were clear. This was God's plan. Barak hesitated. "If you go with me, I will go. But if you don't, I won't." Some see this as doubt, others as recognition of Deborah's role as God's spokesperson. Her presence signified God's presence. Deborah agreed but warned, "I will go with you. Yet the honor will not be yours, for the Lord will deliver Sisera into the hands of a woman." It was an unusual prophecy. In warrior culture, the highest honor was to kill the enemy's commander. To hear that a woman would claim this honor was unexpected. Yet Barak trusted God's plan through her. He sent messengers calling warriors from Zebulun and Naphtali. Farmers left their plows, shepherds left their flocks, and they gathered whatever weapons they could find. Together, they marched toward Mount Tabor, a strategic, rounded mountain in the Yisrael Valley. From there, they could see the plains and valleys, including the route Sisera would take. Barak gathered 10,000 men with Deborah at his side. Meanwhile, Sisera, confident in his superiority, gathered his 900 iron chariots and soldiers and marched from Harasheth Hagoyim toward the Kishon River, determined to crush Israel. Deborah, Barak, and the Israelites watched from Mount Tabor as dust rose from the advancing enemy. The valley trembled with the roar of chariots and shouting soldiers. Then Deborah gave the signal, "Go! Today the Lord has delivered Sisera into your hands." Has he not gone ahead of you? Barak led his men down Mount Tabor. Normally, chariots would decimate infantry on open ground, but God had a plan. As told in the Song of Deborah in Judges 5, the heavens opened. Storm clouds gathered and rain poured. The firm ground became thick mud. The Kishon River swelled, rushing violently and carrying debris. Sisera's iron chariots, once symbols of fear, became trapped. Horses struggled, warriors clung desperately. A once mighty force turned into chaos. The Israelite warriors pressed forward with courage and precision, striking with determination. Confusion spread through the Canaanites, and the army broke and fled. The Lord himself fought for Israel, and victory was complete, a dramatic display of God's sovereignty. But the story continued. Sisera, fleeing on foot, reached the tent of Jael, wife of Heber the Kenite. The Kenites were descendants of Hobab, Moses' brother-in-law, and lived in peace with the Canaanites. Sisera believed he would find safety. Jael welcomed him, calm and reassuring. "Come, my lord, don't be afraid," she said. She covered him with a blanket and offered milk. Exhausted, Sisera asked her to stand guard and tell anyone that he was not there. When he fell into a deep sleep, Jael acted. With a tent peg and hammer tools of her daily life, she moved quietly and struck Sisera through the temple. The blow was decisive. He never woke. Moments later, Barak arrived. Jael showed him the fallen commander. In that moment, Deborah's prophecy came true. The glory of victory went to a woman. Israel triumphed over Jabin, and the land enjoyed peace for 40 years. Deborah's story is more than a historical account. It is timeless. In a world dominated by men, God chose a woman to lead, judge, and deliver Israel, showing that his calling is not limited by human expectation. Her courage flowed from faith, and faith produced action. Even Barak, hesitant at first, obeyed God's plan. Victory came not from superior weapons, but from God's intervention. And in the end, a tent-dwelling woman, Jael, fulfilled prophecy and brought an unexpected end to Israel's enemy. Deborah's leadership reminds us that God often works through those the world overlooks, ordinary villagers turned warriors, a woman in a male-led society, a wife with tent tools. Likewise, he works through ordinary believers today in workplaces, schools, homes, and neighborhoods to bring deliverance, hope, and change. Your quiet faithfulness might be exactly what God uses to change someone's life. Every generation is called to trust him when odds seem impossible. Our Sisera may not have iron chariots, but challenges remain, cultural pressures, fears that silence us, and battles that seem unwinnable. Like Deborah, we are called to stand firm, speak courage into others, and move when God says, "Go." Just as God fought for Israel, he fights for his people today in victories large and small. His hand still moves among his children. The question is, will you trust him enough to step onto the battlefield? Your faith, like Deborah's, Barak's, and Jael's, could be the instrument God uses to bring deliverance, hope, and transformation to your life and to the lives around you. Step forward today. Stand firm. Speak courage. Let God use you to change the world. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and share this video to your friends and families. Stay blessed.